I'll just upload it to a YouTube link. Okay, so let's start with first of all, where did you say you're from? Eastern Canada, right?
Yeah, so well, yeah, just about 2 hours east of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of out in the country. We're not exactly city folk, but we're not exactly yeah,
Yeah.
climbing through the bushes either. So
Um, have you what's your like archery experience overall?
yeah, so I've shot let's see, I first picked up a bow. I'm gonna say about 4 years ago, but like I started with a basically a homemade longbow that a buddy of mine's brother made, um, and just shot terribly. I was happy to hit the paper. And then I'm gonna say about a year and a half ago, I picked up the recurve, like
Olympic?
an ILF. Sorry,
Olympic.
what's that?
Was it Olympic recurve or just barebow?
Yeah, yeah. About a year and a half ago, I picked up the Olympic recurve. Prior to that, I shot a shorter hunting, like a takedown recurve,
Sure.
just a traditional bow. And then I'd say in the last 12 months, I've been with a coach locally
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's just made a huge change. He and I have been very open about this, and like he kind of prides himself on, the initial learning curve basically of the newbie. Um, and once somebody's reached sort of an intermediate level, he says, okay, see you later. And then he goes back to square one with the next guy. Um, but yeah, it's been good. I mean, just to give you an idea where I'm at, I've shot two tournaments now. I've got another one lined up just after Christmas.
Okay.
Uh, I went from shooting maybe 220, 200, and now I think my personal best was high 260s.
Is that 260 in a tournament or practice?
Practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, usually in practice, I'm kind of mid 250s.
Okay.
Although I will say the bottom for some reason fell out. I had a pulled muscle in my neck,
Hmm.
not archer related, but yeah, all of a sudden the bottom fell out of my game, and I was barely like 230, 240 in practice.
Have you addressed the neck issue?
Yes, yeah,
Okay. So you're good now.
I'm good. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Good.
yeah.
Funny.
So
It's funny you mentioned that because my buddy Rob Yanni that I was shooting with and grew up with, and he shoots barebow. He's a mail carrier and he's fighting a similar situation. He's got like a pinched nerve around a C5. And I said to him, like, after I'm sure, I don't know how far into the podcast you've gotten in my journey, like 2 years ago, I started getting incredible amounts of pain below my elbow. I ended up
mhm.
having what they called was ulnar tunnel syndrome, where the ulnar nerve that runs through the bottom of your actually you can see my scar right there. That's my
Oh
scar
yeah, hmm,
from surgery. The nerve I have like this is weird. It's weird, but it's not weird. I have overdeveloped triceps. My triceps come down and they wrap and they were restricting the ulnar nerve. It could be from
oh
years of
really?
archery. I don't know. To the point where the signal running through the nerve, like my archery was progressively going the opposite direction because I felt like I just couldn't get the connection with letting like my release and everything was just going haywire. But then the pain started kicking in. Come to find out, I had ulnar tunnel syndrome, and what happens is there's signals that run through the nerve from your brain through the nerve down into your hands,
Hmm.
and the signal supposed leaves. It's supposed to be like 60, whatever. We'll call it millihertz. I don't know what the term is. By the time it gets to the tunnel, the ulnar tunnel, it's supposed to be like 55 and then stay above 50 or 59. I don't, it's supposed to be pretty high. By the time it gets to your fingers, it should still be above 50.
Hmm.
When mine got to the other side of the ulnar nerve, mine was a 39.
Oof.
By the time it got to my fingers, it was almost a 30. Anything below 30, the nerve dies.
Jeez,
So
that's
I could have
scary.
lost all cognitive or whatever the word is, control of my right arm if I didn't get surgery.
Shit.
So I was like, so what this kind of did for me though, and I've been shooting and I've been shooting well and it feels good. And the one thing that I learned is that, and or maybe it's something I knew but never really had firsthand experience with, specific types of injuries or mobility restrictions and stuff like that. Like people get themselves really frustrated not shooting well or not progressing or not getting better. And we don't pay enough attention to those items. We just assume they're not going to have an effect on us. This 100% had an effect on me. And
Mhm.
I can tell the difference now because like everything's smooth again. Before everything was rigid and poppy and I
Maybe a lot
couldn't.
of plucks if you were trying
Yeah.
to.
And it's just the signal of everything that was going on. It wasn't computing to my hand for
Mhm.
obvious reasons. So like that's why I asked you about the neck thing because if we don't do chiropractic care, if we don't do some kind of mobility work, if we aren't working, and it's not necessarily as much of a strengthening thing. I think archery kind of you build that strength on your own over time, although it doesn't hurt to do it, but it definitely shows, you know, you have to pay attention to it and you have to recognize like, hey, am I holding myself back because I have this nagging, how many times have we had like a knot in our shoulder and that knot sent tingling down to my bottom or my top two fingers? Like there's that stuff happens all the time. And
Mhm.
it's not an injury per se, but if you don't get it worked out and if you don't take care of it, it's just going to have an adverse effect on your shooting, and especially
Mhm.
with barebow. I think in compound Olympic recurve, because we're more aggressive into the back wall and we don't have to be as, dare I say, in control. You can shoot more in the subconscious. It doesn't, you can get away with that stuff a little bit more. But and in barebow, you can get away with some things as well. But like when it comes to nerve impingements, back issues, shoulder issues, elbow issues, like those hot ticket items that affect your fluidity of having a repeatable release, bow arm, all that jazz. It is super, super important. So, anyways, now that I went off on that tangent.
No, I appreciate that because I've been kind of going through this in the last I'd say probably month and a half,
Yeah,
and it threw me for a loop because I was really excited. I would just
yeah,
literally like, I mean, not you don't get cocky, but like almost you look, go, yeah, yeah, there's the yellow, pull, draw, bang, and hit the yellow or hit
yeah,
the inner red ring, and to just gone. Like, and all of a sudden I'm using up the whole page,
yeah.
and what I started to look at, now my wife was kind enough to get me a set of carbon wood limbs as well. So made that change, and I'm thinking there's no way that they
Speaking
caused.
of, what equipment are you shooting?
Oh, so shooting a 25-inch WNS, the forged riser, um, carbon. So I was just shooting a fairly plain carbon, or sorry, fiberglass maple WNS. I think it's an F3 limb.
Okay,
And now I've been shooting it's the new C3 limb from WNS. It's
okay,
maple carbon.
okay,
Uh, 36-pound limbs, 35, just under 36 pounds off the finger. A rest and plunger.
okay,
Um, and so right now I'm shooting XX 75 Easton's 2013 spine.
okay,
So about 610s, I think they are, cut down to 29 inches, 29 and a half, with about 150 grains up front.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. What
Um,
what tab?
Yost just the Yost light tab.
Okay.
Um,
What grip? Factory or
Factory grip. I've added a little bit of marine epoxy to it,
okay.
so the insertion point stays the same. It just gives me a little bit of lateral stability, so I'm not rocking back and forth on
Okay.
the
Yeah,
ski heel of it.
sure.
I can send you some photos. I would love your input. Um, but what else can I tell you? Um, yeah, that's about the
Okay.
meat of it. I've experimented with all sorts of different arrows, and I find for indoor anything and anything that I say with any kind of authority in my voice, disregard. So if you ever need to box my ears, you just let me know. It's just what I've seen through my own trial and error. But I find I prefer at least 7 grains per inch on my arrow for
For
18
indoor.
meters.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Um, but yeah, yeah. As far as the injury, like it was never anything major, but it was right then when everything just came apart. And I've also noticed like, so I'm a barber,
Okay.
uh, the last 10 years, so I know that I know when my shoulders are feeling a bit stiff, but I also if I wear a button-up shirt, I found out that the hard way is as well as anything if it's muscle
Restrictive.
tightness
Yeah.
or if it's clothing, if it gives you like an artificial feeling of that back tension,
Yeah.
it just throws my game right off.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, kind of learned that through trial and error. But
Okay.
anyway,
So, all right. All right. So I guess so here's my next question. First of all, I need to see form videos and we'll review those. You can send them to me anytime, but then like the next time we meet next month. And the national champ subscription is really like one private lesson a month is really what it is. But if you want to do others, we'll work something out and um we'll discount that if you need to absolutely have. I don't think you do, and we can communicate back and forth, and I think you'll be good. Um, but we'll meet again next month, and we'll pick a goal of what we want to achieve. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about now. What is your goal? What is your absolute like? Is your goal? Just tell me what is your goal?
hmm so for me, like just to give you a bit of my history, I was a martial arts guy growing up.
Okay.
Started in traditional karate. I love the discipline of archery.
Uh-huh.
It allows me to get out that competitive bug without losing any more brain cells or cartilage in my knees. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I'm used to being coached, and I hope that's made me listen well and do what I'm told. But um, like I love competition. The goal is to do maybe two, maybe three more before the end of the year. I'm mainly interested just in 18-meter indoor.
Okay.
Um, can't do it next year, but February 2026 is kind of my target for Lancaster. Um, I would love to.
January. January 2006.
Oh, January. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I won't show up in February. There'd be nobody there.
No, that'll be Vegas. Yeah,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Vegas in
maybe
February.
Vegas the year
Yeah,
after.
that's okay though. Good. I'm happy to hear that. You won't regret it. I'll tell you that much. It is the
I've heard, and I
100%. I know people like rave about Vegas, but and I've never been there. But Lancaster Archery Classic is just in a world of its own. It's amazing. But
yeah,
anyways,
that's
okay. So 2026 Lancaster, currently shooting 250, 260 competitions a little bit below that right now because of the coming back from the injury. We have a breakdown of the equipment. How many days a week can you shoot?
so right now.
Like realistically, not what you want. Realistically, how many days can you commit to every single week without fail?
Yeah. So we're pretty flexible there. Like my wife and I, we don't have kids. I've got a fairly busy work schedule, but not crippling.
Okay.
Um, I could shoot 4 days a week
Okay.
and like, a couple of 2 hour sessions and then probably a couple of like 3 hour sessions if I had to.
Okay.
So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could probably shoot 8 to 10 hours a week.
Um, hold on a second. I want to write some stuff down. Jesus, Christmas Eve. How did I even not know that? Okay. So we're saying 4 days per week. 250, 260 per 300. Um, what what is something that you're currently give me like whatever one or two things that you're currently struggling with.
So one of the things that I think is um, giving me the most issue is, I would say, finding my back tension again. I think after the neck soreness, I think that's probably why my scores were shooting up, was because I was really dialing that in.
Okay.
Um, and I would say my release is still inconsistent. Like, I'll shoot, if I focus on my release, I've got a really nice follow through over and over and over again. All of a sudden I'll start really paying attention to my back tension and feel my shoulders, and then I'll realize I'll have a static release, right? And I'll have an arrow that'll, my arrows are nothing extreme, like they don't have huge point weight. So, but I'll still notice one will drop into the 6 ring or the 5 ring or something like that.
Got you.
So it's got to be either the bow hand, or it's got to be my release is static and I'm plucking or doing something weird with it.
Okay.
Uh, So, I think the big thing would just get some shots recorded and send them to you, and you'd probably see
Yeah.
it from a mile
Yeah.
away.
And I have there's a I can send you the link. There's a coaching positions video and I'll send it to you so you know what you have to do, but I want four positions if possible. One in front of you on the shooting line. That's coaching position number one. So as if I was a coach and I was standing on the shooting line watching you shoot as a right hand or left hand shooter. I need to see from elbow to bow hand. So phone horizontal, elbow to bow hand, and I need to see the whole shot process. Just send me like two or three shots. You can separate them if you want, if you have somebody filming. If not, just record the whole thing. I don't care how you send it to me. Upload it to YouTube, send me a link. You can email me files. You can there's actually a place in the Barebow shooter school for you to upload it. You can upload it there as well, which is what I prefer. I prefer keeping it all together. Um, then position number two is from behind you. It's tricky when you're by yourself, but the goal is to have the string down the middle of the riser. So I could see what movement's happening, like with your head, your upper body, and also where your final alignment is at full draw in relationship to where the arrow is. Position number three is from behind you while you're shooting. Same parameters as position number one. Then position number four is above you. So if you have a selfie stick monopod, you can take a phone, record, and just hold it straight up with that, or have somebody stand on a chair above you this way, however it is that you take that. And then, again, that's three shots from each position. That's minimum. That really lets me do some evaluation. One shot's no good. And you have to be like wary, like those three shots were your shot, not I almost don't want your best shots. I want the shots that are what you're doing most often. So, if you're shooting 240 halves, break that down into score. Your good shots are landing in the middle, and only out of 240, it's not at 10 ends. It's an average of 24 per end. That's an 8 average. If you're getting a couple of tens, I don't really necessarily want to see the tens if those are like perfect shots. I want to see the average. I want to see the eights. I want to see those arrows. I want to know what those feel like. I want to know why they're hitting where they're hitting and what's happening with the point of the arrow, what's happening in the shot. That's where we make our improvements. So Get me those videos, and it's really hard for us to start to discuss like training plans. Like you can here's a real quick synopsis of what I would be doing if I'm not specifically training for one single tournament at a 4 or 5 week period out from that tournament. I would be doing drills every time I go to shoot. I would score 1 to 2 times per week max. You don't need to score more than that. And I would spend like one evening, one day doing multiple drills to drive home all of the things. But here's the problem. And Rob, ironically, I had this conversation with Rob just the other day too. You can't start doing drills if you're doing not so good things with your form, because then all you're doing is ingraining bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we do that, then we're actually putting ourselves behind the 8 ball. If you try to like mentally fix you, I've said this before on the podcast actually, and just in general, you can't mentally fix bad form. It's not going to work. Um, unless you prove me wrong and like say there's a thing that you do and your form is not necessarily perfect, but you're shooting consistent 270s, 275s. I'm not saying a damn word to you about making any changes until that's no longer working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like Grace and I, ironically, have this conversation all the time. We just had it when we had lunch on Sunday, and he's like he'd really love to work on his release, but he has to change his hook a little bit and stuff like that. And he's like, "Well, I don't have time for that." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "But why should you?" I said, "You're a 270, 275 or better shooter with a not an amazing release, but a consistent one." I was like, don't fix it if it's not broke, man. Like and Barebow is probably the one discipline that has proven time and again that you don't have to have the perfect form, you don't have to have the perfect alignment for everyone. The people have won with less than perfect everything. People who overdraw and lose a little bit of back tension, like it's whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you should do those things until they don't work anymore. And then you should make changes. And that's when you come talk to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but if you're in a position where you know you have some deficiencies and you want to improve, and we can take some of those deficiencies out, say you fix everything we fix, you save yourself 2 or 3 points on a score.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fix 4 things, that freaking adds up pretty
Yeah.
consistent. So that's the way you go about it. But just to get back to until you get me the videos, blind bell's never gonna hurt. Um, the 30x drill is never gonna hurt, and that's all in the shooter school. All the explanations on that. If you can't find it or having a problem, let me know. So I'm gonna put training down, write down drills. We're gonna go 30x blind bell, and just for edification purposes, blind bell is eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
Blank bill is eyes open, no target. That's the way I
Ah,
describe
okay.
it. Okay. That's the way I describe it. And then let's just go with draw holds. Okay. Now, a 5 second draw hold counts as one shot in volume. All right. 5 seconds. So if you do 10 draw holds, that's the equivalent of 10 shot arrows when it comes to volume training. So if you're trying to hit, let's say you're trying to hit 90 arrows per session, and you do 35 second draw holds, then those count for 30 arrows. Okay.
Okay.
Just for purposes of documentation and uh, consistency with training and stuff like that. A 10 second draw hold counts as two. A 15 second draw hold counts as three. Okay. Um, so let's start with those three. And then just, even if you're just doing, this is what I would do. I would do 30x drill one day a week. I would do, um, just say you do like, uh, 3 sets of 5 second draw holds in a row. So it's going to be 5 seconds let down, 5 seconds let down, 5 seconds let down, five. And what a draw hold is you're letting that tip of the arrow wherever your aim point is. Hopefully it's in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're letting you're hitting you're focusing on hitting your tension and direction, full draw alignment, 100% back tension. You're just letting that tip of the arrow float in the middle of the target. You're not holding it still, just letting it float. Consistency matters. So five sets of five. So that's a 5 by 5. So you're doing 5 sets of 5 times. Okay.
Mhm.
I said 3 sets. We're gonna go with 5.
Okay.
So do that one day a week, do 30x drill one day a week, and then do uh um uh blind bail. Let's just go 15 blind bail cash in and 15 blind bail cash out. So before you score, shoot 15 blind bail. Um, and then after you score 15 more. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll
Just one
start.
score.
uh,
One.
if you score, like anytime you score, just do that.
Okay.
So if you're gonna do 4 days a week, score 2 times a week, do that before and after each time you score. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll just start there. And just a basic, easy training plan. It's not, and you can add and subtract from that as you see fit or as your body demands it. And we're just gonna do that until you get me the videos. Okay?
Okay. That's great.
Okay. Good enough.
Um,
Any
trying to think if
questions?
no, I think that's it. I thought I had a question, but no, I think we covered it.
Well, if you do, just message me.
Yeah.
If you're on Facebook,
Oh,
find
that's
me
right.
on Facebook and shoot me a message on there because that's your best bet of getting a hold of me.
Okay. Yeah, I pulled out of Facebook for a bit, but I was thinking about hopping back in. So
Well, if
uh,
you can just get on Messenger too, like you don't have to be on Facebook. You can just download Messenger and just use Messenger, I think.
yeah,
So that's always an
maybe
option.
I'll actually the one thing I was gonna ask. So like I do a fair bit of strength training. Just it's what I've
Okay.
always done, I guess. I just enjoy the exercise. But
Okay.
is there anything you'd want me to I focus a lot on rear delts. So I do a lot of like reverse flies. I do some like wide grip chins. Is there anything you want less of? Like, would you say less, say bench press or um,
Well, I don't know what your training program looks like. Bench press makes your chest tight. Um, Pull-ups are great. Um, Flies are great. Kettlebell swings are great. Anything clean and jerk overhead, kettlebells, barbells, any of that stuff, all good stuff.
awesome?
Um, I'm
I love
I'm
kettlebells.
as long as you're not shooting in pain, because that's always been my struggle. And I like to work out. I like to work out hard, and I kick the shit out of myself, and then I'm sore, and I hate shooting sore.
Mhm.
It's not fun. Um, but what I would work on core strength. This is what I work. I would work on core strength. I work on mobility. More than I'm worried about the strength and conditioning side of things. Core strength and mobility, upper body mobility, core mobility, and um um for the most part, anything upper body. And I would do what are they called? I am I am losing my mind. Where you sit in a sit up position, you go back and forth with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. What
Oh
is that?
yeah.
I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's a great one to help with the core
Rotational.
aspect. Yeah, it's not a Russian kettlebell setup, is it? I don't remember I forget what the name of it is.
Um,
I'll look it
yeah.
up or I'll remember. You know what'll happen? We'll get off soon and I'll remember it like 5 minutes after that and whatever. But um, yeah.
Maybe
So
I'll switch to push-ups maybe instead of doing well relatively heavy bench press. I can't claim to even have a heavy bench press, but um, yeah, okay, more core stuff, rotational core, bring
yeah,
in the kettlebells.
yeah. Either that or like you get like a medicine ball and you're like wall, 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 wall. Stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just it's
absolutely.
just a core rotation thing, doing that. So hold on.
Awesome.
But yeah, that I mean that's I'm not going to get into like a full workout plan or anything. I don't do that anymore since I stopped coaching CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting. But I mean
No,
all that
that's
stuff
awesome.
works. Yeah, that's what I did
Yeah.
before I got back into archery full time. I was competing in CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting. That was my go-to.
Oh, that's really cool. It's funny,
So
it doesn't surprise me because when I first saw you on it was one of the podcasts, I was like, whoa, man, Frank's a serious looking dude, like for an archer guy.
that's what everybody says. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, I was never amazing, but like I was like 100 kilo snatcher, like 230, 240 kilo clean and jerk, uh,
damn.
like 450 squat, back squat, like full depth back squat, not this parallel bullshit. Ass to
Yeah,
grass back squat. That was probably like my mid 30s. That's where I was.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, now I'm 46 and that shit ain't happening no more.
Yeah,
I
you're not at
I
that age.
might get back into some lightweight Olympic weightlifting, but I'll never like max out like I used to. I'm not there right now with just coming back from 2 years off with the injury and stuff. So
It's
we'll see.
too much of a risk,
Oh my gosh,
too
yeah.
much of a risk unless that's all you're doing, right?
Yep.
Um,
100%. We'll see.
yeah,
I don't know. But listen, are you good? Anything else?
I'm great. Yeah, and
Wonderful.
I hugely appreciate it, Coach. Yeah, it was really cool to meet you, and I'll have my homework done up, and I'll
Okay.
have it back to you.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm actually gonna upload this as an episode to Patreon, like where people can just watch and listen to your journey and so that they understand like, hey, that option's available. I may
Yeah,
put it on YouTube, but I won't put the video version. I let they can just listen to the audio version on like regular YouTube. I may do it as a full episode, it depends, or I'll slip it in with some other information or something. But okay.
sure. That sounds good.
All right, dude. Well, take care. Merry Christmas
Merry
or
Christmas.
whatever. Happy holidays, and let me know. Get me those videos. Message me when you get the videos done. Okay.
I will for sure.
All right, dude. Awesome.
Excellent.
See you
Thanks a
later.
lot, Coach.
Yes.
All right,
Yep.
we'll
Yep.
talk to you soon.
Bye.